Is there such a thing as good? Is there such a thing as evil? There are neither. There is only the grey area in between and that which the players decide to do. But as a GM competent in the stylings of Dragon Age, one must know how to deliver consequences that are proper without railroading your players into a situation where they feel they cannot choose that which they decide to do. Left, right, there is no wrong. Dragon Age. Blood in Ferelden. This is the module we were playing for session 13.
Yes, no wrong. But those choices can still haunt you.
I see. What choices have haunted Amelia then?
Yes, well, back where we did the part with the Chanter of the Still Tongue, for example.
You weren't able to save all the kids?
Mm-hmm.
Ah, yes. All the family.
Yes, because we took a break.
Yeah.
Because we stopped for 5 minutes to rest and recuperate after taking some damage.
Mm-hmm.
It's those type of choices that leave you in a situation of like, oh dear.
It really does give you the dark theme of the world, doesn't it?
Yes.
It's much darker than the computer game.
Oh yeah.
It's delivered more accurately
Yes,
to
because
a grim medieval time.
Because the computer game's like, yes, no matter what you choose, this is still going to happen.
Our lot were in Denerim, and we had to work out from the beginning of the session what the expenditures would be. Just general things. Amelia has been working at a den of depravity, let's just say.
Mm-hmm.
One of the whorehouses as a that they said, oh, what, customer or clientele? And it was like, neither. She's working the door. She bumped into Tanador and Karak.
Yes.
As they were frequenting the place. You were just trying to earn a bit of cash, weren't you?
Yeah.
Karak was trying to do a bit of performance and didn't really make much there, trying to keep his skills up juggling rocks. There was a bit of recuperation. Paydar's fingers could heal up after the break from the dungeon. And you were sent out then into the West Hills area to meet with your contact again, who would then place you on a contract.
Yes. Miss, I'm going to fire an arrow at you and actually not aim for you, but...
She always orders a pint and leaves it unfinished.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
She's very, very subtle.
She met you in the tavern within Elmridge, which is in the West Hills. Tavern called the Smoking Crow. And she set this thing up with you. She said, right, okay, you've got an Avar with your party. That will help me work things out.
Ah, dear.
All right. Your mission will come find you. You don't have to find it. So, went out of the inn and you heard because you heard a horse making a lot of noise.
Yeah.
Tanador wanted to go up to the horse and punch it in the face.
After some...
And then punch the guy.
Yeah, so that was after some cajoling by Karak, you should say as well.
There was the horseman. He seemed quite happy to recognise the group.
Yes.
You're the ones he's been looking for. He explains, no, I want to take you to see the Arl Gallagher Wolf. So?
Yes, cue the jokes here.
They didn't punch either him or the horse. Instead, they went along to find out what it was, because they're all out of money, mostly, aren't they, a lot of them? I mean, well, Tanador's cleared himself out on drinking and whoring.
Yes.
And they've just done their repair. So he's got 0 money left.
Karak's got about maybe 10 gold left or something.
You mean silver?
Oh, yeah, silver.
Karak cleared himself out by buying a magical cloak.
Yeah. And I lent him 10 silver to purchase it as well.
Yes. It was for 80 silver. He got the spider silk cloak, which gives you a +2 to stealth test, but also makes you immune to giant spiders' webbing attacks.
Oh, so I wonder how many of them we're going to run into now.
So far, you've had a fair bit of contact.
Yes. We've met 2 so far.
And
I've got about, 40 silver left now. Pete being Pete, yes.
Couple of sovereigns.
Yeah, that's going to get him in trouble if he keeps all of those for too long.
You went to meet the Jarl, and he explained his dilemma, that he believes that Avars have kidnapped his daughter, Izot. They were making all the jokes about her name, of course. Yes.
Of course they did.
Yes, of course. I'm sure she is.
Yeah.
And so on.
Yes, and like, with the old, oh, you're in there, mate.
Yeah.
Things, I mean, it's like, as always, they got to make some sort of reference.
They were interested he was interested in hiring the group because you had an Avar specifically with you.
Yes.
And he knows that the Avars have quite a bad blood between each other. So they're just as likely as to turn on each other as they are a lowlander.
Mm-hmm.
And as such, hire an Avar to catch an Avar.
Yeah, set a thief to catch a thief routine.
Yes, that's it. So he was particularly interested in this group. And you found out all the information about it, that she'd gone missing at the manor. And from there, you've got to start investigating. So this was very much an investigating-centric game. You had to try and put the clues together yourself. And also a good tracking skill is very useful in this one. Hell of a lot of tracking.
Which, even though Tanadil had, he failed at miserably several times.
Oh, there was a few almost dead leads there, but in the end it was just a case of, plough on and hope we find something.
Yeah.
Well, you went to the manor, and there you met Birkin, the 11-year-old son of Arl Gallagher Wolf.
Yes.
And he said that he wants to come along as well. I'm going to come, I'm going to save my sister and all this routine. And you said, no, you're too young, we're not taking you, forget it. Just outright no. And I think he ended up getting clonked over the head.
Yes, Karak walked up behind him, boom, with his staff.
Yeah, you had a look round the supposed crime scene at the manor. Again, guys, we're going to start going into spoiler territory now. So here we go.
As usual.
You saw marks and footprints and things in the snow, but you didn't find any blood. And it looked like the way the boot prints you'd worked out through your tracking, the way the prints had worked out in the snow, that it looked like they'd been overlaced on purpose as if to try and confuse.
Yeah.
And you saw some signs that people had been around and waiting there and tried to cover their tracks with a branch and this sort of thing. And now Jez's Tanadil's expertise in Avarian culture really came into play here, because this is moments where I, as the GM, can take a piece of information, draw a ring around it in the book, and hand it straight to the player. So I did that here, for instance. I drew a little ring around the section and said, "Read the ring part to yourself," and then he works out how he's going to explain. So the bit I've just rung round, it goes like this: Avars frequently use tree branches to wipe out their prints in the snow if they are attempting to be stealthy. However, it doesn't take an expert to tell that someone made an obvious attempt to obscure these prints, although the effort was clearly rushed, as sets in several places were only partially covered and some were missed altogether. So this notion of, covering that up, I just show him the book, and then he's like, us Avars, we use a branch to cover out our prints. And then I, as the GM, haven't had to explain that.
Yep.
The actual Avar has. There's a few occasions where I don't feel it would make much of a difference. You don't want to do it like all the time, because you'll slow the game right down. There's a few times when I just explain it. But I like to make sure that I do hit these notes, these specific moments, to really let the characters explain things that help reinforce who they are more. I mean, you didn't find a whole lot to go on, really, at the scene. The investigation was quite poor. Your tracking skills were not enough to get a good lead. So you just pushed on into the frostbacks, really, to hope you'd find a trail of something. You stopped for lunch. While doing so, Paydar decided to go off and have a slash, behind a bush, whatever else he's getting up to in there, probably with his Twitter phone.
His Twitter rock, you mean? That's the joke we have at the table.
Yes, when people's phones go off at the table, we're like, your rock is making a noise. That's an old one. Yes. A red lion attacked. Almost supernatural type beastie. Shwoom came out of nowhere. And literally, it was upon Paydar, because he'd separated from the group, and it was upon him before anyone could do anything. It had the first strike, and boy, is it lethal. The thing that sets this red lion apart is it's got something called Legendary Jaws Stunt. For 3 stunt points, its bite can crush steel, right? It can cause 2d6 additional damage. So that's like crazier than Mighty Blow.
Yeah.
And just to be really ridiculous, I was letting it stack with Mighty Blow because it isn't Mighty Blow.
It doesn't say, does it? It only said, didn't it say somewhere that 2 effects of spells cannot stack if they are by the same name?
There's some sort of thing in there. I think it was that or the... Yeah, I think it was the same name or something like that, yeah. But yeah, one's a 2d6, one's a 1d6. It's got Mighty...
Costs 1 more point to use as well.
It's got Mighty Blow as well. I mean, it was pulling some... I mean, it was biting up Padar pretty bad.
Yeah.
Clawing him about. He was in some trouble.
Yeah, it really quickly went down.
He ended up going down to 8 health left.
Yeah.
But luckily the group got over to him in time.
Well, if he wasn't wearing armour, he would have been dead.
Yeah. And Amelia managed to get its attention.
Yes.
You all started...
tank.
You all started hitting on it. And it started attacking you. But it was even doing you a lot of damage.
Oh, yeah.
And it was getting, like, through your armour, which your armour's 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
8 armour resistance, yet it was putting, what, like 10 damage on you and stuff like that? Ridiculous.
After armour. More
After
or less.
armour, like 10 and 12 damage.
Because Mighty Blow and Legendary Jaws were replacing the damage removed
going,
by armour.
It was going into, like, the 20s of damage, wasn't it?
Yeah.
On you, which is... That's a good output.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice.
That's usually a tier 2 thing for us right now.
So
that boss level creature. This thing is looking on par with some damage-wise for some things.
You imagine if there'd have been more than one of them.
Oh yeah, we would have been
As
screwed.
a pack, like the Blight Wolves come.
Yeah, we would have been screwed.
So you managed to finish it while it tried getting away, as per the initiative breakaway rules.
Yep.
Tanador struck it down, cleaved it down as it tried to run. And Karak tried skinning it, but its pelt was too damaged to really be profitable. If you skin it without damaging it, it's worth 30 silver. But, yeah, that wasn't going to happen. Tanador cut its head off.
Yeah.
Because he knows about the culture, seeing as I've filled him in about Avar culture, that it is the sacred animal of Redhold. So he took the head, he put it in a bag. He actually wants to craft it into a helm, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But, until such time, he kept it.
Oh, and the tail.
Karak took the tail, didn't he?
No, Karak took the pelt
paws.
and the boots.
Yes, that's right. He took the paws.
To
That's right.
make boots for Oof, so we can scratch as well.
Yes. Tanador took the tail as well.
My joke was because apparently Tanadil has a ponytail on the front of his head.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so now you're going to put a cat's tail on the back.
Oh dear. Well, you survived the encounter there, and then you came to a blood-soaked clearing. And again, Tanador's Avar knowledge was really able to fill in here, because the ground is cold, so burials aren't easy to make happen. Funerals, pyres aren't easy because of aforesaid cold and wind. They have another process. Because of the way they believe in their gods as well, they dismember the bodies, crunch the bone up into meal.
Yeah.
Scatter it all in bags, hang the sacks from trees, and let nature consume it. Let it go back to nature. So they found this awful, ghastly thing. Managed to determine that they wouldn't go to the Avarian funeral rites, really, for a lowlander. So it probably isn't Izzot.
Yeah.
Here that's been put to rest. There's been some sort of fight between Avars that's happened. So that's helping you all piece together again, isn't it? The picture. There's a growing then idea of, it looks like we're sort of heading for Redhold because that's the closest hold anyway.
Yes, much to Tanadil's this
Tanador didn't want to go there, did he?
No.
He's got a fear of badgers.
Yes. He keeps going on about how he talked to a guy in a pub about random different things. One such one gave him a piece of moon rock.
Oh, he sold him a piece of moon rock. He said, that's real genuine rock from the
You have to ask the rock mages about it. And Karak goes like, what am I? To him, you're a bad one, that's what you are. Dear. And apparently now a badger is apparently about the size of a grown bear with horns on its head.
Now the thing is, the badger, there's another funny link here.
Mm-hmm.
Because the reason he doesn't want to go to Redhold is because of who was to be his betrothed.
Yeah.
The woman that his family wanted him to marry. And she's from Redhold.
Yep.
And he wanted to get away from her. She really wasn't
And his mother.
going to be what he wanted at all.
No.
She's a bit on the brawny side.
Short. She's smaller than Amelia, apparently, according to him. 5'8", he says. Amelia's 5'10".
The thing is, it's the hairstyle.
Yes.
She's got a badger stripe. And we're like, yeah, I think I'm starting to see the link
Yep.
now, where the problem is. Yes.
Oh yeah, that was another thing. He met a guy in a pub who had 2 wooden legs, but real feet. The hell? And we're like, how drunk were you? I'm no drunk than I normally am. He had an honest face. Yeah? You have an honest face too when you're passed out drunk on the floor.
So he didn't really want to go to Redhold because he might bump into her and that wouldn't be fun.
For him.
But indications were suggesting you might be heading there. You pressed on then into the snow and you made a grisly discovery. Bodies everywhere. For as far as the eye could see, the hunters who had fallen. Well, no, not hunters, the farmers, the Avarian farmers, they are from Redhold. They'd been just cut down, slaughtered wholesale. Women, children, the lot.
Yeah.
What's happened here is that the Redhold farmers had come out of the hold because it's now spring. You're lucky it's only spring and it's not winter up in the hills right now because those mountains would eat you in the winter.
Oh yeah, and also not just the mountains, but the Avarians would be on the war effort right then.
That's when you've got to be worried. Yes. So yeah, they came out of Redhold and they were going down south into the lowlands areas, or the lower parts at least, so that they can work the ground and try and work, take advantage of the season.
Yeah.
While the soil is better. But these farmers, they got slaughtered on their way there before they even had a chance. So something terrible would cut them down. You started to get the idea that it might have been Darkspawn.
Yeah.
Based on the fact that the way some of the bodies, or at least one of the bodies, had been displayed.
And the weapons too, that were left lying about, a couple of them.
Then you heard gravelly voices. And you were like, right, hide. Quick. Where can we hide? I know, amongst the dead. So you jumped down amongst the bodies. In different places. And just remembered, shit, what about the horses?
Yep.
They'll see the horses.
Paydar, quick!
It sounded like Darkspawn. So yes, Paydar walked the horses away out of the distance and out of sight.
Mm.
So, with that, Genlocks entered the area. About 5 or 6 of them. Walking around. And started to smell a little bit. Something a bit off, maybe. But all of your stealth checks worked out versus their smelling.
Yeah. That was a tense moment.
It was close. One of them was right on the number.
It was right on Karak, almost.
And he was standing right at Karak. His feet were right next to Karak's face.
And Karak was like, remember to cast a spell.
Yeah. But luckily, it walked away, and that was that. And so they walked on. Now, they avoided combat, and one could say, right, well, they didn't fight, so 0 experience, as per the experience rules. And the way the experience rules work, you can see a great video I did about that, amazing experience system video, really cool video I made about that. But I decided, no, I'm not going to penalise them for this, because if you'd have left the horses around, the Darkspawn would have seen the horses.
Yeah.
and gone after the horses.
Meaning we would have had to have either broke cover to survive the horses, because there's no way we would have gotten that far that quickly without the horses.
Yep.
Or we just let the horses die. But
They
the
would
fact
have
of the matter
realised.
is, Paydar was with the horses too, so
They would have realised, though, that if horses are here,
people were here.
even if Paydar had been hiding, they'd have began actively looking then.
Yep.
And then that makes everything different.
And then we would have had to fight them.
They'll find you. Their senses
And on
are
top
too
of
good.
not just fighting them, because it's Genlocks, Darkspawn, I don't know what their true numbers would have been. We could have ended a situation where, we don't really have the time to be fighting with them. We could have easily just gotten...
They're always outnumbered. And they fight in a certain way where they gang up on people.
They're Genlocks.
Have you noticed that? They like to fight in pairs and try and take one person out.
Yep.
And that actually instructs me in the book.
There's like, what, at least 2 for each one of us?
It not quite, but...
Something akin to it.
They do like to have them gang up, even if it leaves it funny and people not being attacked.
Yeah.
They at least want to gang up on people. It's just part of their training.
Yeah.
So that makes them awful, really, doesn't it, as well?
Genlocks may be the weakest of them, but they're still dangerous in numbers.
And
It's like goblins.
Yes, you didn't fight, so you avoided it, but it was clever because you took the horses into account. So because of that, I was like, right, so do I give them 100? And I thought, no, but that's kind of still penalising them because the fight could have been hard. And they've thought about the horses. So, right, I'll give them 200. So that was a good one. You eventually came to Redhold. It was a case of we're going to have to search there. It looks like there's drag marks heading in that direction.
I'm guessing from the fact that we had the option to go a different way, we could have skipped Redhold altogether.
Correct. And as it turns out, you would have come back to a doomed Redhold.
Yeah.
As it actually turns out.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone destroyed. Yeah. So you went in.
It's the old, if we're not there, something bad's going to happen routine.
Believe me, Redhold wouldn't have stayed and waited for you. Time would have been moving on in your absence. My world isn't just set pieces hanging around until you come so that they can load like some crummy computer game. It's living, it's breathing, it's happening.
Indeed, that's the thing here, isn't it?
If you miss it, you miss it.
Yep. And considering what we could have missed, I'm grateful that we didn't. Well, kinda.
Believe me, going to Redhold first was the better idea. You've got more intel. If you'd have gone up west into the mountains...
We could have spent time tracking things that we don't even know what we're looking for.
You'd have gone in half-cocked, and it would have been very dangerous.
Yeah, we wouldn't know where to look. We wouldn't know what we're looking for. We'd be severely unprepared for it. That's the issue, isn't it?
Yeah. At Redhold, you approached, because they're on a sort of war footing now, because they've had a lot of their numbers taken.
Yeah.
So you approached with your hands out to show you...
Weapons drawn, they have some reason they said, didn't they?
I think it was something like that, but held out.
Yeah.
And that you weren't fired upon. You were eventually allowed in as to explain your intent, that you've come searching for a girl and this kind of thing. Now, the Thane knows of her.
Mm-hmm.
And he's had problems.
Yes, at this point, due to what the Thane said, Amelia came to the conclusion that the Thane's son has taken an interest in the girl. However, the girl has taken an interest in the Thane's son as well, so it goes both ways. She left of her own accord.
Amelia's quite smart in working these things out, isn't she? Even though her cunning's very low.
Yeah, this is what I mean. It's like, low cunning, yet smarter than she appears.
Yes.
She's not just the old, I'm going to hit things with my sword routine.
Also, Tanador managed to keep his head down and avoid...
So far.
Avoid the lady.
So far.
Karak met a woman.
Yep.
Loenna, which is the niece of the Thane.
Which he found out at a later point.
Later, yes.
After he...
He's been instructed by Tanador to roughhouse her.
Yeah.
That's kind of flirting, spank her ass and these kind of things. Yeah. So there's a kind of courting thing going on there, and he's said his intentions towards her. It looks like marriage is on the cards. It was a kind of a culture shock for the party, wasn't it, to see the different way that the Avars do it. Courting of Loenna went well. You met their shaman. He was quite a freaky guy. Wears antlers.
And has an owl on his head.
Oh yes, the owl, that's right. The owl was eyeing you guys up and had been scouting you and watching you previously. He's the tribe's spiritual advisor, isn't he?
Yeah.
So he's able to, understand the
And
ways of the gods.
And apparently, according to Tannadill, Tigerhold doesn't have one. Oh, that's because you were meant to be it, weren't you? You don't have someone jumping down and down in front of a fire going meow, 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 meow with a tiger pelt on their back or something. Apparently, that's a courting ritual for Tigerhold.
Then you met the young man himself who said, look, I'll lead you to her. How about that? Azza.
Yeah, Pierce Brosnan.
Yes. Azza R. Brosnan. It's like, yeah, Pierce Brosnan, how you doing? It's old Pierce. And he was...
not looking too good.
He'd been beaten up pretty bad, and you finally managed to get it out of him that what had happened was Izzot, who they'd prearranged a kidnapping with, had actually been taken away by her own free will. I mean, she had to put up a struggle just for customs.
Yeah.
It was a pretend struggle. I mean, he was carrying her off enough, she stopped. And they actually did get jumped on by...
another group.
Yeah. Balan.
Yes.
Him and his men, they're a no-hold traitorous scum. Live up higher up in the mountains in a den.
Yes. And for reference, Amelia was under her breath saying Talvashoth.
That was kind of interesting. And he said, look, let's go. Let's find them right now, I'll do it. But you were like, come on, why are you really interested? You're not just willing to do it just to track him down. Yes. So you got it out of him that he is the guy and that he's the one that brought Izzot along. So you've managed to figure all of this.
And the Thane had also said that, of course, the reason why the farmers were attacked is because the Darkspawn seemed to be massing for an assault of some sort.
Yes. Of course, that was far worse than any of you could have ever imagined.
I was like, yeah, and Amelia was like, well, we could go out there now, but what's the chances if we've got nothing to come back to?
And as it turns out, the Thane put a proposition to you. It was the Thane, and he revealed a sword. A magical blade. Older than their tribe. Oh, back when they were together, conjoined, the Freldons and the Avar people as the Alamari.
Yeah.
A time back from those periods. Amor Fin, magical weapon. And he said, I will offer this to you if you will help. The Darkspawn are about to attack us and we will fall. We are only about 50 in number. They look like they're 150 to 200 or more.
Yes, and the 60 scouts or hunters that are out, which are the best fighters they have, are not here.
They're trying to get back. What's actually happening is they're being delayed with guerrilla tactics by the Darkspawn.
Yeah.
They will not return in time for the battle.
Yeah.
There is no cavalry coming.
Well, there will be, so long as we can hold out long enough. If we're lucky.
This will all be decided in one night.
Yeah.
And
yeah, we've got our own little Helms Deep coming up.
Quite. Now, this was expanded upon from the book somewhat. You were given the blade, as you agreed, yes, we'll help them.
After a little bit of a argument with Tannadill about it.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, I'll take that. I was like, oh really, you'll take that. It's a longsword. It's a one-handed weapon. You fight with what?
Well, it was determined that he would actually lose damage.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, probably.
Yes. Because then, after an RP incident, where it was then decided I was going to have it anyway, you also brought up statistics to help back up the reasoning.
Well, yes, obviously the great weapon.
The only way he could get
is 3d6.
Yes, and he's not really in the mood to be dual wielding right now until we can actually get access to the master talent for dual wielding, where you can get the secondary attack.
Amor Fin is really a low-level epic. I mean, let's not beat around the bush here.
Yes, it's basically
2d6 plus 4 plus strength damage, plus 2 to rolling to hit.
Yeah. Well, let's put it this way. I have a plus 3.
Wow.
On attack rolls due to strength. I have the focus giving me a plus 5. When wielding that sword, I'm at a plus 7 to hit.
That's pretty impressive.
Well, let's put it this way. First strike I made with that blade was 1-1-1. And I still hit.
That is scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's an epic.
It's a low level epic. It's a purple, basically.
Yeah.
Purple fever basically occurred.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term.
I like how it states sometimes, very softly, she sings.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of these magical blades, they are enchanted by like a presence, aren't
Yeah.
they? Like a person. That's why it's a named sword.
Even more fun fact is that it's laced with lyrium, right?
Yes, well, you know, the Templar sort of
I know, look at the light.
addiction. Are you licking your sword?
No.
You Templars are addicted to lyrium. Isn't it laced in lyrium?
Yes.
You've been licking your sword again, haven't you?
No, I have not been licking the sword. Well, not that much, anyway.
So, you wouldn't be interested in this lyrium I happen to find in this convenient snuff box. With the lid open conveniently. In the powdered form.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is...
Look at it fall. Look at the silver sprinkles fall gently like the sands of time, and time is running out, but the lid is closing.
Yes, well, let's just hope we don't run into any red lyrium, don't we? Otherwise we're having a Dragon Age 2 incident occurring all over again.
Preparing for Hakon's dance. Hakon will be happy, for they are outnumbered. It will be a great death. And you took to the walls.
Yep.
And the Darkspawn, they came out of the forest, and they sent a load of animals at you first, just to draw out your arrows, just to see how
far we could reach.
Just, yeah, to gauge your reach and to gauge your ammunition capacity, to try and wear you down a bit.
Yeah, siege tactics.
Then came the flying forces, all of the blighted falcons and eagles and things, and of course they let out their own falcons and birds of prey,
yep.
And there was a huge avian airborne battle going on in the skies. And then the Genlock army, with like 40 Hurlocks behind them,
yes, we're looking at
marched out of the forest.
We're looking at over 160 basic on Hurlocks, Genlocks there then, because you said it was like 200 force.
Roundabout, maybe, if not more.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a rough estimate from the scouts.
Yes, we braced the gate.
Yes.
Lack of siege engines, though, we're wondering how that was going to go.
That's not going to help at all for what's coming.
You said there was a nice big beastie in the forest, animal-wise.
That's the siege weapon. No amount of bracing can stop that.
Oh, I doubt it. I seriously doubt a bracing of the gate will stop it. Tanadil was like, yes, we should send out the giant red lion they have in that pit. That will surely do some damage, right? It's like, yeah, you're probably going to have to kill the lion, though, afterwards.
Yes.
Tanadil was like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's going to be so full of Genlock, it won't want to try and eat us. My argument then came about, I was like, yeah, it'll be blighted. Because it's so full of Genlock, it will be blighted.
Well, yes. And so they came, and they marched just out of bow reach, and it was just like Helms Deep. Shields out, bang.
Yeah.
Bang. Crushing their weapons against their shields.
Yes, we are the fighting Orokai.
In unison. And as it got darker and darker, they sped up. They sped up the clashing of weapon to shield. And then the mighty cry went up from the Hurlocks, and the Genlocks went forward, and the Hurlocks stayed back and watched.
They're trying to exhaust us with the runs.
And in came the Genlocks with
ladders,
hooked ladders, and pre-tied grappling hook ropes.
Yeah.
And up they came, up to the wall. Now, you're at the top of the wall at this point, and you're waiting. Now, you'd first decided, because you've been given the honour of trying to hold the wall above the gate.
Yeah.
Now, you've got to remember that the entirety of the wall is occupied by defenders.
Yeah.
Everywhere along the wall.
Yeah.
So no matter where you were, you know, there'd be defenders in the other places as well.
Mm-hmm.
But you were thinking of trying to position yourselves, half of you one side of the gate and half of you the other side of the gate, cut off from each other. So you'd have had to have gone down the steps and round to get back up the steps, back up to the other sides of the wall if you wanted to rejoin your fellows, right?
Yeah.
Now the problem with that was, because of the mechanics of the way they were coming at each side of the wall, the Genlocks are coming 2d6 plus 2
minus whatever
in number, right? And for every strength 13 to try and pull a ladder off or to
knock a thing off, yeah.
the thing off, it could potentially reduce that wave of them coming in.
Yeah.
If you'd have split yourself, I would have been going 2d6 plus 2 there,
Oh dear.
and
God.
2d6 plus 2 here.
Oh dear.
And you'd have had the full strength with half your efficiency on both sides.
Luckily, we decided to not do that in the end,
Because
isn't it?
I would have had to have done that. Because that wall is being attacked by the same amount as that wall.
Yeah.
They aren't coming specifically just for you. They're coming for everything.
Yes, it wouldn't matter what side we're on.
You would
We'd
have
still
got
been up there.
you would have got
Swamped.
badly isolated.
It's Genlocks. There's going to be, like, at that point, not just ganging up 2 to 1. If there's, like, 2d6 on each side, plus whatever, we would have ended up having, like, maybe 4 on each of us at one point. Things could have gotten 2. And that would have been really bad.
This is the whiteboard for it. As I drew the bloody thing up. Hey!
Woohoo!
And then when we finished on the night, well,
We'd only killed about 3 of the first wave.
that's right. And I'm starting to mark them right there. Now, you see the red things, those are fires. And you can see the gate is holding. And
Fortunately,
what they did was, because we had to clear the miniatures up, they marked their positions with the character initials there in the places they were standing on.
We've managed to get
On
a
the
couple of
beams.
ladders and ropes back down, but
Yeah,
it's very little so far.
it was just the first lot coming in. So, yeah.
And I'm using Amorphin here, so I'm
This
getting
is
some
like
nice
a,
bonuses.
What do you think of the whiteboard, guys? Look, I've even put in where north is. Pretty cool, right?
It's a map.
Yep, and there's more arrow emplacements here. Each of these things that look like trees, they're little like arrow clusters that they can draw re-ammunition from.
Yes, at this point I'm suggesting set fire to arrows.
A siege in a roleplay game. That's the question to you. Have you ever run it, guys? Have you ever done a siege in any roleplay? How did it work out? Did you find that mapping it was very useful? How did you map it? Did you use miniatures for that? If you're a group that doesn't normally use miniatures or mapping, did you decide to do it for the siege? What's your favourite system to run a siege in? These questions and more. Comment below. But I suppose it's always been a childhood fantasy, isn't it?
Well,
Get to
I
do
can't
the
say I've ever
siege.
been in a siege myself in any RPG I've played.
Yeah.
Well, outside of computer game ones, but hey, that's not really all that helpful.
Now, you got through to the first lot coming, and then the session had to stop because people had to go.
Yeah, so now the second lot is on their way.
Yeah, so now we'll see if the group can survive. So, it's an awful place to leave you in this video, I know, because
Yeah.
we don't know what's going to happen. But it is where the session did stop, so, you know, if it's bad for you, not knowing
Just think about how bad it is for us.
Exactly. You still feel like you're in control of the story, yeah? As the players.
Yep. I mean, if we had skipped this and gone into the mountains,
Hmm.
one, we would have gone in not knowing what the hell we're going to find, but we've also had a chance to miss all the stuff that's happening here for a better set-off, if we happen to actually win the day.
You at least get to die as heroes.
Yes, plus we got some nice new stunts to pull here, too.
That's right. The siege-only stunts. That's very nice. So there's some, like, real crazy extra damage and topple him off the walls, because you can't skirmish them off the walls. You've got to do a special new siege stunt
Yeah.
to knock them straight back off
And take damage from that.
to take masses, yeah. So,
You can have a hawk eagle come in, or a hawk or something come in and start scratching the hell out of one of the dark spawn.
Yep, or call in for, like, a big arrow strike, you know, like Assassin's Creed Brotherhood style, where you're like... whoa.
Bring the rain, I think it was called, wasn't it? In this
Yes,
case?
that's right. You know, when he does his thing and then all the arrows all... You can do that to somebody.
Yes, I suggest do that. That should be fun.
Yeah. Well, that's where we're at. We'll leave it there. It's getting mighty exciting where Eagle's lair.
Yes, well, if they're nice big siege weapons coming in, which is meant to be a living thing, we're going to have some trouble with that, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Seriously.
But until next time, I will see you at the table.